Okay, two new keywords regarding loops: break and continue. These two keywords help you control the flow inside your loops. Let's take the continue keyword first. Whenever your loop encounters the continue keyword, it will stop there, skip the rest of the current iteration, and move on to the next iteration. If we take our sound example again, generation example again, and we use continue right after we play the sound, continue, our plot code will not be executed, neither will the pause. We will still hear all of the sound, but that's all. Whatever is after the continue will not be executed. If you run it like this, you will probably hear all of the sounds at the same time, and you won't be able to distinguish them because we're also skipping the pause. So when the loop encounters continue, it will actually loop only through this code right here. It will never go below the continue. Continue is usually used along with some condition. Based on a condition, you skip an iteration of the loop. So we can say if. So let's say that we want to skip the amplitude of 0.8. So amplitude of J equals to 0.8 and the frequency of I equal to let's say 1000. So we are going to skip the amplitudes of 0.8 and frequency of 1000. And here we are going to end. So if we do this, whenever we reach the amplitude of 0.8 and the frequency of 1000, these sounds will not be plotted. As you can see right here on the second graph, we have only two graphs plotted, but on the rest of the graphs we have three graphs. So here we are missing one of the amplitude. But you might say, hold on thought, why don't we just place our whole code inside the if condition? If the if condition is not satisfied, we would still not execute that code. Why do we need the continue? You're almost right. First, if you have some other code after your if condition, so you can say, alright, I don't want to plot it, and you place all of that in the if condition, the pause will still be executed. When you do it like this, everything after that will be skipped. Second, continue can help you break nested if statements. So instead of having a continue here, we are going to do what we just discussed. We are going to move all of that inside the if, and we're also going to move the pause within that if with another if. So we're going to have another condition for the pause. So let's change this a bit. Let's make this equal. Let's make this an OR. So we'll have more cases in which we will go inside this if. So here this code will execute only if the amplitude is equal to 0.8 or the frequency is 1000. And we are going to also play the pause only if the frequency is 1500. So this here will be executed only if we are at an amplitude of 0.8 and at the frequency of 1500, which we don't have. So if you run it, this pause will only then be executed. This is a nested if condition, and you can break this condition with continue statements. So instead of having it like this, you can say, if this condition is not true, so this whole condition is not true, continue, end. And here we're moving this outside of the if condition. And down here, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to extract it out of the if again, like that. And if continue. So if this is also not true, let's run it. And there we have it. We have a lot more skipped results. If we reverse this condition, if we remove the node, it will work in a different way. Of course, we will skip a different amount of signals, but this is what the continue helps you do. It helps you break your conditions without deeply nesting them in if statements. Now, the second keyword that I want to show you is break. And break simply stops the loop once the loop encounters it. If you're dealing with some calculations and you're looking for a specific value or a specific quantity of values, as soon as you reach your threshold, you can simply terminate the rest of the loop by using break. As we have discussed, the while loops are actually doing precisely that. They stop when a given condition is met. The difference here is that if you use it in a while loop, you can have your break condition anywhere within the loop, and that way you will know that the loop must stop before the loop itself realizes it. That way you can prevent some code being executed as soon as the condition is finally met. So here, instead of using continue, if I say simply break and we run this, as soon as we hit that break, there we have it. It stopped executing. That's everything that we got. If we use it in our simple while loop example, and we say if counter is equal to, if counter gets bigger than 10, break, end. So if the counter reaches more than 10, the while loop will stop executing. Let's actually see the values. So number, counter, run. So counter 11, we didn't get the number. Counter again 11, we didn't get the number. As you can see, the counter is always 11 if we don't get the number. The counter is different only if we actually get our number. So the while loop always stops executing once the counter gets bigger than 10. If we want, we can make it bigger than or equal to 10, and it will always interrupt it at the 10th iteration unless it manages to generate the number. So let's make this a bit bigger, from 10 to 60, and there we have it. Always a 10 unless we find the actual number. So there we have it. Continue and break help you control the flow within your loops.